Hello there and welcome back to another review. So if you said to me, what is your favourite Yuen Biao film? So if you put me on the spot and I had to pick my favourite Yuen Biao, then this film here, The Iceman Cometh, would be a very, very strong contender for my favourite Yuen Biao film. This is a film that's been a firm favourite of mine for probably way over 25 years now. Made back in 1989, directed by Clarence with an awesome support cast in Yuen Biao and Maggie Cheung. I can't stress how amazing this film is. I will not probably be able to do it justice in this review, but I will do my best to give you my opinions on the movie. But in one word, it's awesome. It really is a fantastic movie. How amazing this film is, both in terms of acting, action, story, pacing. Everything about this movie to me is perfect. It really is like a 5-star Hong Kong movie. It really 100% is. It is one of them films, I don't say this often enough, but even it's just under about 2 hours in length, and even the fact it is that long, it still feels short. It still feels like it's not long enough, because I could have watched this film, could have kept going for me. I couldn't get enough of it, and the 2 hours go by so quickly, and it's such a blast from start to finish. This version here that I'm reviewing does come with an extended Taiwanese versions, but I will be reviewing the original Hong Kong cut here today. A film I had back in the day on VHS from the Made in Hong Kong label. Loved it then, love it now, and it's great to see a nice sort of deluxe Blu-ray edition from 88 Films. And not many Westerners viewing this will say, oh, it's just like Highlander. Many of you will, if you've never seen this movie and you're about to see it, or you've been curious about it, you'll be like, well, it's just like Highlander, right? It's just, that's sort of, it's a rip-off of that, a Kung Fu remake of Highlander. Well, yes and no. Okay, it does follow what you could say, the idea of swordsmen from the past battling in modern day, but it is so much more than that. It's not like a retread of Highlander or anything like that. And if you want to call it a Hong Kong remake of Highlander, fine, but if it is, it's a damn good one. It really is a fantastic film. All three of our main cast here give absolute powerhouse performances, especially, Maggie Cheung in this is absolutely on fire. She is absolutely wonderful in this movie. She carries the film along with Yuen Biao really well. The two work really well together. Yuen Biao is always fantastic as our villain, but Maggie Cheung in particular with this movie, her performance, it's incredible. It really is a fantastic performance. She's absolutely on fire through this whole film. And what is interesting about this movie is sometimes the comedy in Hong Kong vehicles, sometimes it gets lost on Western audiences or goes on too long, or sometimes it seems a bit out of place, or might be weird or forced, or or outstanding its welcome. Especially like when Yuen Biao is getting used to like the new modern setting that he's woken up to. But in this film, it all works. The film in many ways, it's like the perfect, Hong Kong movie. It's a great villain, great female lead, great male lead, a fantastic action, great premise, and it's just so enjoyable. And the comedy, going back to what I was just saying, the comedy really does work. Like I mentioned, sometimes in Hong Kong movies, the comedy doesn't always necessarily land if you're watching it and you're in a Western audience. But here, everything does work. It really does, hit the mark on everything that this film is trying to do and set out to achieve. This was when Biao in the late 80s was really trying to make a name for himself in his own movies. We had movies like Righting Wrongs, we had On the Run, and this movie here. And if you look at a lot of his solo output, one could argue that Yuen Biao, his films are a lot more grittier. They're a lot darker than, say, something like Jackie Chan was doing, or like Sammo Hung was doing. Yuen Biao's films, especially something like On the Run, just by Alfred Chung, very dark, gritty noir thriller. So Yuen Biao's films were not necessarily straight up like kung fu comedies, that kind of thing like that. And this film is another one. Yes, there's comedy in it, but it's very much sort of that sci-fi, swordsman, sorcery, that kind of thing. And like with Yuen Biao's films, they definitely have a more serious aspects to them, rather than, like I say, compared to your usual Jackie Chan kung fu comedy. While this film did okay originally, it didn't do sort of great when released, but make no mistake, this is a 5-star movie. This is one of them films that I think everybody should see. I think it's a fantastic movie, and as you can probably tell, I absolutely love it. Some in the past have been critical of Yuen Biao's performance in this, saying it's a bit over the top, like he does go a bit overboard, but to me it is perfect. And as Fung San. He's a great villain. I think as well Yuen Biao himself has stated that this is a favourite of his. I think he's even said himself this is the favourite, one of his favourite films that he has made. Obviously without Jackie or Samo. It's a shame Yuen Biao's solo career never really took off in the same vein as sort of Jackie. He did try, and Yuen Biao's got some great movies to his back catalogue, but it's a shame he never really hit the heights of sort of what, say, Jackie Chan was doing, or even like Samo was doing. But Iceman Cometh is a fantastic testament to one of the most amazing performers that has ever graced the Hong Kong screen. The action in this movie was handled by Yuen Biao himself. Yuen Biao, I think Chin Kar Lok was involved with the choreography, and I think Yuen Tak as well had a lot to do with the action here. But we're getting into it now, but I'm trying to squeeze it all in so I don't keep you too long, but it really is a fantastic film. So we meet Yuen Biao's character in 16th century China, Fung San, and he sort of rapes and murders a princess, and she's with these other girls laughing about, and then he ambushes her. Not sure where all the other princesses sort of run off to, yeah, so he sort of forces himself on her, but the idea is he's a murderer and a rapist, and he needs to be stopped and apprehended by Yuen Biao's character, Ching. And he's given 20 days to track him down. We learn that Yua also killed Ching's uncle after stealing a jade Buddha and wants to achieve enlightenment to transport himself and sort of time travel. Ching catches up with him, and Wara's like, look, I've trained my whole life and now I just want to murder and rape. That's sort of his mentality, where he's coming from. And the film is absolutely wonderfully shot, with Clarence using some great angles, wide shots. We get some awesome, amazing sword play as you would expect here between our two leads. And the film also incorporates elements of wire work as well. The film is very much like a Spooky Encounters, how much I love Encounters of the Spooky Kind with Samo. This is another one of them films that I could just watch anytime. If you said to me, right, you've got to watch it once a week, that would be no problem at all. As I say, just absolutely, I can always watch this movie. It's just never boring. Just absolutely love it. Every time I have seen it, I just love it even more. So in the midst of their brutal encounter, they go off the cliffside. We then cut to modern day, and this research team find them and first comment after, which is not the kind of thing I saw coming, whilst they frozen their bodies, like, yep, this proves homosexuality existed. So yeah, they say something like this proves homosexuality existed all them years ago or something like that, which I did always just seemed to come out of nowhere, that comment. So cutting it short, some goons come along and accidentally press the defrost button. Then the next shot we see is Yuen Biao walking down the freeway. You have to love how as well he hasn't been apprehended, or like no security have gone after him or caught up or compromised this whole time, or for the research team of he's just been able to sort of wander out quite freely onto like sort of the main road, like sort of on the expressway, without being sort of compromised or anything. So at first people think he's homeless. Look out for some cameos here from Stanley Fung. Cora Yuen as well makes a little cameo appearance. And I love how he's like, where is Hong Kong? He's asking these people and they're like, Asia. And then he's like, where is Asia? How long would it take for me to walk to Peking? And they're just like, okay, this guy is a nutter. Like, this guy is crazy, because obviously he's all delusion. He don't know what year it is, don't know where he's going. We then meet Maggie Cheung's character Polly, who is like a small-time prostitute, and he's trying to pay off her debts for like sort of one of her friend, and has to sort of pretend to be whipped at one point. That's sort of the introduction to the character, which is more funny than it sounds. Yuen Biao, thinking it is real, turns up to save her. Aside from the performances, Maggie Cheung in this looks absolutely gorgeous. Like, she really does. For some reason in this movie, she really, every shot she is in, the camera just absolutely loves her in this movie, and she really does look amazing. I mean, she always does look incredible, but in this film in particular, she really come into like her own in terms of her acting and her performance. If you look at something like this and how she was sort of in Police Story, Police Story, she was very young. It's a bit of an understated performance, but this made just 4 years later. It's the difference in like comparison, contrast to the two performances is it's huge, because I was saying this, she's just absolutely wonderful, and her portrayal of Polly is just absolutely perfect. I mean, you look at her just where every scene she is in with Yuen Biao, with Ching, the two bounce off each other really well. So her character is sarcastic, she's strong, she's confident, she smokes, and that's what was so refreshing with this, rather than being sort of a damsel in distress like she usually would be in Police Story. Here, she's very much able to show a very strong minded character, and that really does work. You know, to me, I'm not sure if any of you feel the same, but this has actually always been like a Christmas movie to me as well. I know I said it about Bride with White Hair, but this as well. This is another one of them films that it is of Christmassy. Bride with White Hair has nothing to do with Christmas at all about it, in it. But I've always, for some reason, it seems like a Christmas movie to me. And this one is, I mean, it's set at Christmas. It has that cold setting at the start, and just the whole colours palette of the film itself. I just view it as a Christmas movie. So they go back to Polly's, and she answers the phone. It's like, "You have the wrong number, bitch, you scumbag." Yuen Biao does the same when it rings, and he plays the part perfectly as someone who's getting used to that modern world and all these different devices. And he has on Yuen Biao's face, he has a real charming naivety about him throughout the movie. Even at one point, going to drink out the toilet bowl, thinking that is where he washes himself. So Polly gets Chung to sort of be her bodyguard when she goes to visit Big Brother. After a brief fight, Yuen gets shot in the hand, and they escape sort of by the office. Of course, over the course of the movie, these two develop feelings for one another. And although it starts off with all the wrong intentions, it turns in their relationship really does turn into something ultra sweet, and it's a real charming sort of romance they have going on between them. It's like, and also, by the way, you know that research team at the start that found Yuen Biao and Yuen Biao, like sort of that found the two bodies, they just disappear. Like, they do not come into the film at all. You never hear from them again. They don't come looking for Chung. They don't put an advert on TV or anything like that, or one of our like somebody we found fossilized or whatever has gone missing. They're gone. The research team have no interest in sort of tracking him down. So Chung tries to tell her he's the chief royal guard of the Emperor of the Ming Dynasty. I will say Yuen Biao, like I say, and Maggie Cheung together have a really great chemistry, and they really bounce off each other super well. It starts with her actually being quite mean to him, actually, like sort of scolding him all the time. He is all confused and torn as his country has been wiped out and his family destroyed. He finds out. It would have been nice if we saw like how Yuen Biao adjusted to the modern setting, because we go on sort of this journey with Yuen Biao's character and sort of how he's adjusting to like this modern world that he's sort of woken up to. But we don't go on the same journey with Yuen Biao. It would have been nice if we saw how he adjusted, but as soon as he left the facility, basically, we catch up with him. The next time we see him, he's doing this like robbery. Maggie Cheung is getting Chung to pretend to be her husband when she goes to Clarence so she can get their money and not have to do anything with them. Take note as well of how many outfit changes Maggie Cheung has. She has quite a number of outfit changes throughout this movie. So Wong goes to rape his boss's girl and kills his boss by flicking like bullets into him. I love as well, of course, his character was going to get in bed. I love it, like his character gets in bed with all these bad dudes, right? The film, to its credit, doesn't even explain that, how they sort of found him or how it come about. Like I say, like how he adjusted to the modern world. He's just working with it, like his character. He's a bad guy anyway, so naturally he's going to somehow find some bad guys who he's going to work with. In a way, they didn't really even need to explain that. I mean, it's quite brutal seeing Yuen Biao do this role, but it's nothing too nasty. It's nothing too horrible. I mean, he does sort of break limbs before, like, sort of raping this girl and things like that. But as I say, a lot of people have said his performance is quite a bit over the top, but I think that's the whole idea of the character. So Chung eventually overhears Polly talking with her friends and finds out she is a prostitute and thinks she's falling in love with her. He's falling in love with her. Chung finds a paper of the rape victim, knows it bears all the traits of Fung San, so he sees this person that's been raped, and he thinks, well, that sounds exactly like what Fung San would do. So it turns out he has gone to have fun with Polly, as she is an escort. Chung has put his foot down and refuses to help her anymore, and it's so frustrating, this bit, because Fung San's he's meeting Maggie Cheung, and this is when Chung has decided to put his foot down, saying he's not doing it anymore. So after phoning Chung for help, Fung San makes her do Fung San makes her ring him up, and they each recognise each other's voice. So they arrange to meet at a cemetery in the crypt area. And this scene here is about as powerful as a scene as you will ever get in a Hong Kong movie. you know, like along with On the Run, don't ever underestimate Yuen Biao as an actor, because in this film and On the Run, but this film here, especially this scene, is a powerhouse of a scene. It really is, when they're in that crypt. It's a phenomenal scene in terms of emotion. This is where he admits he loves her, while makes him drink like the 7 poisons, so like he loses all powers, knowing that Fung San would have never kept his word, but he'd done it for the one sort of in a million chance that he would actually, you know, stick to what he says. It carries so much weight, this scene, like him declaring his love for her, sacrificing himself, and the look on Maggie Cheung's face when she reacts to it is absolutely perfect. It's just wonderful. I mean, Ching at this point is absolutely begging, right? He's absolutely begging. They haven't shared their thoughts for each other, but here it sort of all comes out. It reveals how he feels about her, and after this, that she suddenly realises that she does love him. So after going, Ching gives chase in a scene that involves a jeep, a horse, and then said jeep again, hanging from a crane. I'm not sure why this jeep gets picked up by the crane, sort of by this dockyard place, or why no one is watching these two fight in broad daylight on top of this thing, but you know, who cares? It's a fantastic action scene nonetheless. So under questioning, the cop slaps Polly, which, let's be honest, is a bit much. The doctors save Ching from the poisons. Actually, the more I talk about this film, the more I want to actually go and watch it again already. Just going through it, just quickly going over the film as quickly as I am. I'll probably have to watch it again real soon. We have yet another really emotional scene that always sort of nearly has me in tears watching it, where Ching is like, you used and lied to me, and the way Maggie Cheung acts here again is just perfect. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. So after Fung San comes into hospital, Polly sneaks him out. Fung San buys loads of guns and wants to go back to the past so he can sort of take over. Ching starts making himself a sword, getting Polly to sort of wait on him and serving and proving that she has changed. So he does sort of get his payback to sort of the way she treated him at the start of the movie. He names the sword after her and goes to fight Fung San without even saying goodbye. And we learn that Ching has the Black Jade Buddha. Did we know that? Did we even know he had the Black Jade Buddha? But suddenly he's got this Buddha and faces off with Fung San on top of this exhibit building that has like the wheel that transported them inside this sort of exhibit. I think the ending, I read, it took about a month to film with this movie, which is, that's a long time just to put the ending, it's just with like Yuen Biao, they're using modern weaponry, swords, hand-to-hand combat. And what's great with Yuen Biao and Yuen Biao, where they do fight, the fact is they know each other's moves and rhythms so well. So the film just, this fight in particular just pops, and just everything about it just works. As I say, we have everything here. It starts off with guns and swords, and we have hand-to-hand combat, you name it. Both ever seldomly using a double. It's all played like this. You often think of, reminds me sort of Tiger Cage 2 with Donnie Yen with the sword fight and that. Really wonderful, like made the year before, but a wonderful, fantastic sword play. Fantastic shot of them sort of holding their swords together. This plane comes along, landing in the background. We have grapples, throws, kicks, you name it. It's an amazing fight. Really is an incredible end fight. So Yuen wins, of course, and ends with him sort of going back. We then catch up with Polly, who now has a job, and she's trying to live like a normal, well-to-do life. And this guy who looks like Ching turns up, played by Yuen Biao, of course, and she jumps with joy, which I always took. I took that when she does this guy who is Yuen Biao at the end. Who is he? I always took it, maybe it was like a reincarnation of him. That's how I took it. I was assuming, but I mean, what a movie! What an absolute movie! Can't praise it enough. As I say, the performances, the action, the story, the pacing, and like I say, even for its runtime, quite a long film for Hong Kong standards. It could have gone on and on for me. I could have, even if this film was like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, it still wouldn't have been long enough, because I was really invested with this movie. Absolutely love it. Seen it multiple times, and will always absolutely love Iceman Cometh. So if you haven't seen, if you're only used to like Yuen Biao with Jackie Chan, sort of in Dragons Forever and Sammo and things like that, go and check it out. Along with On the Run, please make sure you check out Iceman Cometh, because it is an absolute fantastic, wonderful movie. So thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review. See you again soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger, or you will miss all that heavenly glory.